Thank you so much for having me. So today I will speak about artificial achievements and whether they are really achievements of artificial intelligence, and if not, whose achievements they are. First, before I get into topic, I wanted to tell you a bit about these two departments I'm mostly engaged in nowadays. My main job is Department of Analytic Philosophy, Institute of Philosophy, Slovak Academy of Sciences. I think it's a very interesting department because we are an English-speaking department. We have top publications in philosophy, and we have the project that I lead and that is very close to my heart, which is called Techne, and it's an APVV project. Which is so the full title is Philosophical and Methodological Challenges of Intelligent Technologies, and mainly we focus on AI in the context of responsibility, and also to my delightment, we do this project with Kempelan Institute of Intelligent Technologies. And this year, I also joined the Ethics and Human Values and in Technology at Kempelan Institute of Intelligent Technologies, which you might know as KINIT. Again, this is a lovely institution. We do really excellent research, which is applied in practice, which is a huge difference to Institute of Philosophy, I have to say. And we have European projects, mostly Horizon Europe projects, and we really do an interdisciplinary approach. So much like your department, we do have people that are more in the IT sector, that are developers, that work in this deep down AI research, but we also have philosophers, ethicists, psychologists, lawyers. Did I mention psychologists? Also psychologists. So regulators. I mean, the list goes on and on. And that's basically the context of where I'm coming from. I wanted to tell you a bit about that. Now, AI achievements. So I start with this perhaps seemingly plausible thesis. It seems that AI can be credited with magnificent achievements. And indeed, we do see that. We do see that on television and news each day. Almost there are some new achievements of artificial intelligence. So here, I mean, maybe if you have read the abstract, you'd be a bit biased, but anyway, I'd like to ask, so do you think that is there such a thing as AI achievements? Does AI have achievements? What would you say? So achievement is like, you know, the term we use normally, like if you climb some very nice hill, or if you won in a competition, or if you complete your BA thesis, MA thesis, PhD thesis, or even if you wrote complete an essay for some course in school. I think all of these can be, you know, you play a concerto, whatever you have. I mean, these are achievements, yeah, looks like that, right? At least. Prima facie. It really does. I mean, I take that. And I listed two that were quite visible in media, but really the list goes on and on. So this example, it's a work of art that entered a fine arts competition and it won. But the trouble is that this was a human competition for artists that actually did this work by themselves. And it turned out that it was AI generated. And this was evaluated by experts. So this came as a huge shock. At the time, perhaps it wouldn't nowadays. Funnily enough, we somehow got our revenge because a human being won in an AI works competition recently. So we really got the revenge. But this happened, yeah. So you can say that this was an AI achievement, right? Another well-known example is this very complicated game Go. And this guy on the picture, his name is Lee Sedol. He's a grandmaster in this game Go, and he lost to AI. And this came as a huge shock to him because he thought that no one can actually beat him, that he's the best. It was like huge part of the sense of meaning of his life was that I'm very good in this, no one can beat me. And he lost to AI. And this was shocking to him. So this is a quote from him. Losing to AI, in a sense, meant my entire world was collapsing. And he also had like very many other dramatic quotes about that. And he also retired. So he no longer saw any sense in continuing to play. Play, yes. I mean, he I think he's teaching students. He's been teaching students after that. But still, it was a huge shock. And one can say that this was an AI achievement. And, we can continue with the successes in medicine, in diagnostic, even in these everyday life tasks when, when AI generates something and makes your life easier as a consequence. And also cases where AI is deployed in some work context, when you chat to a online shop assistant and cannot even tell apart situation where you're talking to a chatbot and when you're talking to a real human being. So it's kind of success, And also I've seen this nice example where one guy collected a very huge collection of works of art and works generated by artificial intelligence. And they very often looked very similar. One complication was that there was also art that wasn't like painted or drawn, but made with the help of computers. So of course, you can ask like whether the lines aren't a bit blurred there. But still, even to me, it was shocking that I wasn't always able to tell which was AI generated and which wasn't. We can also see that in case of videos that now you really, not always, I mean, sometimes it's quite obvious. If you see like cats doing human jobs, then yeah, maybe that was AI generated. But very often you have to pay attention. You have to look for details to tell apart this AI generated video from proper video we made. So Philip Kieval is someone who took this seriously, this idea that AI can have achievements, and he proposed an argument in favor of artificial achievements. So he said that AlphaGo can be credited for defeating Lee Sedol, that it's AlphaGo's achievement. And I will read this longer quote because I think it's quite telling. Defeating Lee Sedol in a Go competition is an achievement in and of itself that is distinct from the achievement of engineering a system capable of such a feat. They involve different processes with distinct products. Moreover, defeating Lee Sedol at Go is an achievement beyond the capacities of AlphaGo's creators, either individually or as a group. The combined efforts of every DeepMind researcher working in tandem would not be sufficient to defeat Lee in a single game of Go. So even if they put their forces together, it would not be enough for defeating this grandmaster in Go. Perhaps we should seriously consider the possibility that AlphaGo itself deserves credit for this achievement. And how does he do that? So he relied on Gwen Bradford's theory of achievement. So yeah, in philosophy, we do have theories of concepts like this. And indeed, achievement is one of those quite loaded concepts. So what is an achievement according to Bradford? It consists in executing a difficult process, and difficulty requires intense effort, and competently causing an outcome. And what Keval does, and maybe that could be interesting for some of you, because I am not actually fully persuaded about this part of the argument either, but I will attack a different part. But let me just say that it's perhaps not entirely clear that we can say that AlphaGo executed a difficult process and competently caused the outcome, which was the victory in a game of Go. So the part where he tries to argue for this thesis that executed a difficult process, he's trying to distinguish this from cases where we would say that it did it effortlessly. Because if it did effortlessly, and sometimes it looks like that, like when you generate something, it looks effortless. Like I thought about this for 3 seconds and here's the answer. You know, it's like, it looks quite effortless. But he says that the sheer volume of computational power needed to train and run deep learning systems make it plausible that AlphaGo expends resources and thus exerts effort. So that's the way how he argues that we can have this execution of a difficult process. And competent causation, that's a bit simpler. So the thing is that that wasn't an accident that it won in this game. It could won against other competent people, and it's really not accidental. You can say that there is some competence in that. So that's the strategy, but of course it's not without difficulties. And actually, there is one that Keval noticed. Again, this might be interesting for some of you. You might have perhaps capacities to contribute to this part of the debate. And let me also say that this was a paper in Analysis, which is one of the top journals in philosophy. So I always think that for students, PhD students, postdocs, I think it's a good strategy to look into journal like that and to look at simple argument and make a simple counter-argument. I think that's generally easier than having a full paper already. So maybe that's a bit of a hint that you can use this to your advantage. But let me get back to the topic. So one of the troubles of this proposal that actually Keval noticed is that for Bradford, achievements are valuable. And not just valuable in this instrumental sense, so valuable for, if you bake a fantastic cake, the cake can be valuable because it can bring joy to many people. So it's, instrumentally valuable. But she says it's not just about that. They are valuable in their own right. They are so-called, the term is intrinsically valuable. And according to her, this value is rooted in distinctive human capacities, which AI systems do not have. So according to her, it's about excellent exercise of specific human capacities, and that is intrinsically valuable. And her focus is on two such capacities: rationality and the capacity to exercise our will. So you can perhaps see here that both of these, I mean, it's quite questionable whether you can ever ascribe that to AI systems. And for Keval, there are two ways out. One is option of having valueless achievements, and the second option is to seek the value of artificial achievements in AI's distinctive capacities, whatever they are. So that was the strategy. But I want to attack this proposal in a different way, and let me show you how. So the basic idea behind the attack is this. So achievements are something for which we are praiseworthy. We can be credited, we can be praised for that. But can AI be praiseworthy? And here I would argue that it cannot. And it's a simple argument. It's a modus ponens, so no big deal. Yeah, I think we can discuss about it a lot. So let me read the premises. If X, such as this victory in the game of Go, is an achievement of an AI system A, then A is praiseworthy for achieving X. X is AI's achievement, and A, as a consequence, is praiseworthy for achieving X. Let's now look for, some support for the premises. Mainly, I need to list some support for the first one because obviously we don't have to talk a lot about the second one because that's the whole point of Keeval's paper. He wants to say that winning over Lee Sedol is AlphaGo's achievement. So that's what he wants to argue for. That's what I want to attack. So we don't have to spend much time on that. But we can talk about this first premise. So if something is AI system's achievement, then AI system is praiseworthy for achieving X. So I would say that this idea is supported in several ways. So first of all, I think we can attribute that to Keeval, although he does not talk about praiseworthiness. He does talk about crediting. So he says that AlphaGo deserves credit for achievement. For many people, that's really like saying the same thing, not for everyone. Secondly, Bradford does not tackle praiseworthiness either, but the very account of achievement is strikingly resembles conditions for praiseworthiness, which were suggested in the debate on praiseworthiness. So I listed this example from Susan Wolf. So she tries to say what is this praiseworthiness, what is it about, and bear in mind that it's not just moral praiseworthiness, but it's praiseworthiness as such as these are not just moral achievements, but also achievements as such. So I think it's fitting. So let me read the quote. It's not solely a function of the goodness or rightness of person's behavior or psychology, but rather something that requires effort or insight or sacrifice or some such thing, and which must pass a threshold of difficulty relative to reasonable expectations. And as we have seen before, Bradford talks exactly about difficulty and also discusses whether we need some threshold of difficulty, and also talks about effort, about exerting some effort in this execution of a difficult process. So it's really quite similar. And finally, the last piece of support I want to mention is that there is debate on achievements in the context of AI, which I also will comment on very briefly in this talk. And in this debate, achievement is tightly linked to praiseworthiness. So you can see that they are kind of talking as if it's obvious that if you have an achievement, then you also have praiseworthiness. And also, when Tygart talks about so-called achievement gap, about which, again, I will talk about it a bit, he says that that one is nonsense. It does not make sense to talk about gaps in achievement, but we can talk about gaps in praiseworthiness for achievements. And if this is not clear yet, don't worry, because I will explain it briefly in a bit. So I already commented on this. And now I like to conclude my argument. So I want to support this claim that AI is not praiseworthy for achieving X. So basically denying the conclusion of this argument. Now, given that I will deny the conclusion, and I think that the first premise is also very well supported, and also for me it's plausible. I think that this claim that we have AI achievements, I think that's the culprit. That's what's wrong. So why we shouldn't think that AI can be praiseworthy? So there are several reasons. One is that AI is not a moral agent, and some would add that it's not an agent. So if you have an AI system, it's not proper agent. Even though we like talk about this agentic AI, it's not the same as saying that it's an agent in philosophical sense. And yeah, sorry for sidetracking, but I personally think that we can talk about AI agency, but like with trustworthiness, like with responsibility, we need to water the notion down. So it would not be this robust notion of agency. And also some argue that, Bryson in particular, that we should not let AI enter our moral community, that it would have detrimental effects on us for several reasons. And another, I think, interesting argument, and I probably would not have time to like tell you about this argument in detail, but it's an interesting thought experiment about historical autonomy. If you want, you can ask me about the thought experiment in the discussion, but I want to say at least that this lack of historical autonomy means that if you do not look just at the autonomy, in sense that AI system can give you some answer and that it can be indeterministic, you also have to look at the history. You have to look at how AI got its goals, its capacities, how it was trained, how it was made to be the way it is. And this is very different from how we are raised, how children are raised. So we do not normally lack historical autonomy, but AI systems do. That's the claim Huxley and Makela made. Another thing is that I'd say that praising AI is a case of anthropomorphizing it, so attributing human properties that it does not have. And finally, I'd say that praising AI is not fair. And it's not fair because it forgets who is really praiseworthy. And I'll talk about that in a bit. And it also ascribes praiseworthiness to something incapable of being praiseworthy. So it's like, yeah, you praise someone, but it's not the one, it's not the right one. And the one that should be praised perhaps isn't praised. So yeah, that doesn't look fair. So, and this is this part, I mean, that's just one slide, but I want to tell you a bit about that because I think it's interesting. So there's this whole debate on AI achievement gaps. It was started by Danaher and Nihom, and their worry is that we are facing an achievement gap. So the thing is that we have achievements, but we cannot be credited, we cannot be praised for these achievements. And they argue that this can have really bad effects on us because we can lose, for instance, our workplace achievements. Imagine that, I don't know, you are a teacher, but you basically just facilitate the use of AI in a world where AI is used more heavily than nowadays is, and some believe that this is the future. So imagine a future like that. Yeah, it can happen that you lose achievements because all those interesting things are done between AI and the student, and you just tell them how to open the app or whatever. So in that case, you might lose those achievements that perhaps were the motivation for entering that job, and perhaps even more that our lives might lose meaning as a consequence, because if you lose workplace achievements, if you lose other achievements in personal life because we would rely on AI more and more heavily, then this is really a big trouble for individual people, but also for society at large. So I think that it's a problem to be taken seriously. So that's why I also work on that and try to find a more optimistic picture. And but before that, let me comment on this issue of whether achievements gap makes sense or not. So this is a small conceptual point made by Tygart. So his point was that there are not really gaps in achievements because, according to him, gap is a normative mismatch. So we have a situation where it seems, or it should be the case, that someone is praiseworthy, or someone is responsible, but no one is. So you have a mismatch, right? On the one hand, someone should be responsible, but no one is responsible. And he said that it's not like we have a situation where someone should have achievement, but no one has achievement. That's not really the point. The point is that someone should be praiseworthy for the achievement, but no one is praiseworthy for the achievement. I think he still uses this term seems to, but I think should be is preferable. It shows even better that it's a normative mismatch. That was just a brief conceptual point, which I could not resist. And finally, the optimistic part. So in one paper, I argued, I tried to find a solution for this AI achievement gaps problem. And my question was like, yeah, if they aren't achievements of AI systems, whose achievements they are? And my answer is that they are ours, which is very optimistic, I'd say. They are not always ours, but under some conditions they can be ours, which is, I think, a good thing. And it's something that we can easily forget, but I think we shouldn't forget. And in fact, we can argue that they are ours through some forms of responsibility. And one form of responsibility I was toying with a bit is vicarious responsibility. I don't know if you do know that concept, vicarious responsibility. Some of you do, some of you don't. So it's it comes from law, but it's also widespread moral practice. So the thought there is that someone is responsible, but it's not the person that acted. It's some other person. So you can have employer and employee. Employee does something wrong, but employer will take responsibility, for instance, compensate someone. But it happens also in morality. So if your dog damages a carpet in a hotel will ask you for some compensation, but it will not be sorted through law, through the legal apparatus. It will be sorted morally. You know, they will just kindly ask you and you will kindly oblige and pay. Similarly, if you are in a shop and your kid destroys something, you will be asked to compensate by the store. And you are, yes, sorry, I will pay for this, of course. You know, that's like how the form of responsibility works morally. And I think that there's no reason why we should limit that to negative consequences. But yeah, before that, I should say that we actually suggested this in the AI context. So we suggested that we can use this to deal with the negative consequences. And we also developed our own conception of vicarious responsibility with my colleague Matteo Pascucci, who is more of a logician, but we work together a bit. You know, the thing is that you can, for instance, hold AI manufacturers responsible through vicarious responsibility for what AI does. Basically, that's the deal. There's one more controversial and one less controversial strategy how to do that. You can ask me if you want. But we can do that also positively for good things. And I think we do that in morality. So, for instance, when I got the award, my mom was praised, by her colleagues, not just, I praised on her Facebook or whatever, but they were praising her. And I think that's actually right. I mean, she should be praised, and it's vicarious responsibility that takes place there. And I think that we can do that with AI achievements as well. That vicariously several AI stakeholders, so people that are somehow interested parties in this whole AI lifecycle thing, they can bear vicarious responsibility for positive outcomes. And secondly, collective responsibility. Although I have to say that Kival argued a bit about that, I think we can still find some space for collective responsibility for these outcomes. I think it's on the right track. So the issue is that AI can only cause something valuable through the agency and contribution of several human stakeholders. So you can think of manufacturers, developers, data providers, data analysts, deployers, users, owners, several parties contribute to make it possible. So even, think of those human artists that actually willingly or not willingly provide their own works for AI systems to train on them. They are part of the part of the group that's contributed to make that outcome, that those achievements possible. And this is the last slide. So I want to zoom out a bit and talk about this larger issue, how to preserve what matters to us. So whether AI will really cause our world collapsing, as Lee Sedol said, or jobs gone, or at least our interest in them gone, again, as Lee Sedol said, whether we will lose the workplace achievements and eventually even the meaning of life, as Danaher and Nihom suggested, that really depends on how we will approach AI, how AI will be developed, deployed, used, and so on. So, and here I just briefly comment on some of these various human roles, and I think that one issue for the developers and manufacturers is that we should be more domain specific in there. So I think that these systems should be fit for the role. So if they play a role literally or at least metaphorically, they should be fit for that role. And developers and manufacturers should take prospective responsibility. We indeed at Kinid we work on that. So we work a bit on value-sensitive design and also on risk assessment. So I think that's really what should be done. And after risk assessment, of course, one should find the countermeasures to make sure that these risks do not materialize. And deployers should make sure that there is meaningful human control over these systems. What I mean by that, well, it's again a concept. It's mainly the main theory was suggested by Philippos Antoni de Sio and Jerome van den Hoven. But yeah, I will not get into details. Let me just say one example where I think that it might look that we have meaningful human control, but it's not really what should be happening. So this was in one paper I was reviewing from medical context. And the trouble is that so it's an AI system in the USA that makes recommendations whether some medicine should be prescribed to a patient. And basically does some reasoning on whether this patient can use or will use the medicine as a drug. So misuse of the drug. That's the issue that AI takes into consideration. And the trouble is, I mean, well, yes, it's just a recommendation, and the actual doctor can go against the recommendation. But the trouble is that if they go against the recommendation and the patient misuses the drug, then they can lose the license. So it's like, imagine that, you do not listen to AI, things go wrong, and you might lose your job. That's, I think, the draft. Is it meaningful human control anymore? I would not say that in this case. Yeah, it is. So I think that we should have more control. But of course, it's not always easy. Think of warfare context. I mean, that's really difficult. Users should not forget to use their own creative and critical thinking and never accept the recommendations mindlessly and without doubt. So that's it. That's a positive message.
Let's thank the speaker very much.
Thank you.